Good evening, everyone. We are going to get started in just a few minutes. If you wouldn't mind muting your screens, that would be great. We're leaving this as a meeting because we wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to see us, but we wanted to see you too and give you an opportunity for some first-person interaction. So we'll get started here in just a minute or so. We're going to let folks trickle in, but we're really excited that you're here today.
14 times I tried.
See how much this lags. Oh, sweet. 71. Cool.
You had to resume.
Let's see if I know anybody.
You. So be nice.
No,
This is college.
I'm gonna be worse than ever.
I guess you have to pay for college. You did it, buddy!
All right, everyone, we're going to get started in just a few seconds here. Again, just a reminder, if you could mute your line, that would be great. We're leaving this as a meeting instead of a webinar because we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to be seen. So we just thought it would be fun if we could engage a little more first person. So let me see, we got a couple more people in the waiting room that we're going to let in and we'll get started. My name is Bobby Gandu and I am Assistant Vice President and Director of Admissions at Wichita State, and it's really our great pleasure to have you today. We're really excited that you're going to learn more about the Rudd Scholarship that is sponsored and delivered by the Rudd Foundation, which is based in Wichita, Kansas, but they really have great statewide reach. I can tell you on behalf of Wichita State, we're really honored to be a partner of the Rudd Foundation. They can choose, any institution in the state of Kansas or elsewhere to be a partner with, and we're truly honored that we're just one of 3 schools that they have opted to work with to help Kansans achieve higher education. And we have more than 60 Rudd Scholars on our campus. And I know our colleagues are going to talk to you a little bit more about that. We are recording the event today because we want to provide this video as an opportunity for you to rewatch it later if you need to, if there's some details you didn't get to catch. And then also we were going to put this up on YouTube to give additional people an opportunity to watch it if they weren't able to join live. And note that we will email this video out to you after the event today. All of you pre-registered for this event, so we have all of your email addresses. So we'll be sure to send this out via email after the event later on this week. So with that being said, I'm really going to do very little talking. I'm just going to be clicking and coordinating a little bit behind the scenes because I really want to make sure you connect with our colleagues and friends from the Rudd Foundation. And so our agenda tonight really is to give you some basic background about the Rudd Scholarship process, what the application process looks like, what the benefits are to be a part of this program if you're so selected for it. And then ultimately, we're actually going to have a few current Wichita State students who are Rudd Scholars speak to their experiences, and that will be an opportunity for you all to ask questions you may have about what it's like to be a Rudd Scholar, what questions you may have. We'll address the questions you may have about the application process, and then anything else that's related to the Rudd Scholarship. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask my friend Corey Roberts, who's the program director for the Rudd Scholar Program, to come forward and start with her presentation about the Rudd Scholarship. So Corey, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bobby. We are so excited to meet with everybody this evening and have the opportunity to share a little bit about our scholarship and this opportunity at Wichita State. Thank you so much for their team for hosting this event and organizing. It's a great way that they can get you connected to this program and have the chance to get a full ride scholarship. So we're going to dive right into a little bit about our scholarship and what the requirements and things are. As Bobby mentioned, this is good at Wichita State. We do give out 25 full ride scholarships. We cover everything: tuition and fees, books and supplies, and room and board for all 4 years. And it's also good at Emporia and Fort Hays, but obviously everybody on this call is interested in Wichita State, and we've had great experience with the university there. So a little bit about what we look for in our potential scholars. Our scholarship's a little bit different. We look for students that have demonstrated that they have the grit, determination, and work ethic, as well as the leadership and academic performance to have overall potential and meet their goals in college. The applicants do need to demonstrate financial need, and we'll go a little bit into that with what the eligibility requirements are. You do have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. You have to be a resident of Kansas as well and qualify for in-state tuition. And throughout high school, you need to have a cumulative unweighted GPA of a 3.0. When I talked about financial need, you do have to qualify for a Pell Grant. So FAFSA opened October 1st. I know some people haven't gotten on that application yet, but it's open right now, and definitely time to get started on that, not only for our scholarship, but for all federal need that you may be eligible for. Once you are awarded our scholarship, a little bit about what you need to do to maintain that scholarship. Just like in high school, your collegiate cumulative GPA needs to be a 3.0. You need to stay on track to graduate in 4 years, but we help you with that. We provide a lot of programming around figuring out, what major you want and going through that process and making sure that you stay on track for that. Sometimes it does require a little bit of summer school. So we do provide tuition and room and board over the summer to help you maintain that 4-year graduation rate. We do like that our scholars network with each other. That's part of our program, a big part of our program. You have a built-in cohort on your campus that's already there before you step foot on campus. So we do want you to use that to your advantage. It's amazing what you can do with the support of people as soon as you walk onto campus as a freshman. So, and then we also have some additional programming for your development that we ask that you attend. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on this next slide. So one thing that I think sets our scholarship apart from most scholarships is what we like to call beyond the dollar. We really provide a lot more than just a check. And as the scholars that are on our panel will probably tell you, this is the big part of the scholarship that they are so grateful for. We really promote our scholars to get involved on campus. That's why we want them to live on campus for all 4 years. And they are very engaged on campus through student government, through Greek life. We have athletes, there's intramurals. We help them get connected with job shadowing and internships and a lot of the programs that the campus has to offer. You are given a mentor if you are a Red Scholar. That's an upperclassman, and that makes it so easy to transition from high school to college when you have that person that you can call on whenever you need to. And those mentor and mentee relationships become very close too. So like I mentioned, you have the support of your cohort as soon as you walk on to campus. At Wichita State, we have 61 Red Scholars. So it's pretty phenomenal when you go to orientation for our Red Scholars, the night before class starts, and there's 61 people there to support you along your journey. They'll take you after we have our pizza party and walk you around campus, show you where your classes are and things like that. You'll never feel like you don't have somebody to turn to if you're part of this program. We also do monthly one-on-one coaching. So we meet each month, make sure you're on track with your grades, your 4-year plan, just mentally, and everything's transitioning well. If there's something that comes up that we can't help you with, we definitely know the people to connect you with on campus and get the right support. So like I said, you always feel like you have somebody when you're part of this program. Go ahead, Bobby. Another big part of our program is we do have activity coordinators on each campus, and we'd like to encourage our scholars to get involved with each other and with the communities. So they may plan some events like you see here. We did some work at the Kansas Food Bank, at the Ronald McDonald House. We offer professional development twice a year through our Scholar Summit. We have one in the fall and in the spring, and that's when we bring all 3 campuses together. So right now we have 101 scholars, and we just finished our fall summit. It was the first summit that we had in person in 2 years, and it was awesome with 101 scholars. It was at Riverfront Stadium there in Wichita. It's a great venue. We got to celebrate our first group of graduates that are graduating in December, which we're super excited about. You can see them there in the middle. They got their Red Scholar stoles that they've earned, and then they have a nice graduation gift. And it was a great celebration. You could really feel how the feeling of family comes from this program. I mean, everybody was so proud of them. So it was a great celebration. And then there on the far right there, we have Michaela at Emporia State. And so they get involved and they, compete at state competitions and different things like that. But like I said, along the way, they have each other's support through the whole time. Next slide, Bobby. So we started this program in 2018 with a class of 20. We are now getting ready to select our 2022 Red Scholars. This will be our 5th cohort. And I can guarantee you that everybody that's on those 4 posters there didn't think that they were going to win the scholarship. But they took a shot and they went through and they finished their application. And we got to surprise them at their school. And I think their lives have been changed ever since then. So just remember, as you're hearing about these experiences, when we go to the panel and things like that, they were in your shoes not too long ago, and we're feeling the same thing that you were. So don't be afraid to take a shot. You're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And the feeling that you get when you get that surprise is pretty overwhelming. And I think we're going to see that here in just a second. Go ahead, Bobby.
You worked hard for it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so you're a Red Scholar?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm so proud of you. You should be so proud of all your hard work.
Oh, dang. Where, it's not just his dream coming true, but our dream too, because we always wanted him to go to college and pursue his dream in engineering.
Thank you.
I got the Red Scholarship.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Holy moly, guacamole!
It's a lot of guacamole.
We've got Corey and Alma from the Rudd Foundation here today.
Yes!
I got the Red Scholarship.
Are you serious?
Yep.
But I want to be there!
Oh my gosh.
All right, that gets me every time. I've watched it probably 100 times and every single time. But as you can see, the excitement, not just for them, but for their families, because this is really life-changing. I know there's some parents on here that are watching this, and the pride that you have in your children, and when you see their hard work pay off and things like that is just indescribable. And sometimes they need a little bit of encouragement to finish this application. So be sure to be there to support them. And then we're going to go on a little bit about what that investment is for the foundation. So we invest approximately 1.5 million in each cohort for the 4 years. So it's quite an investment. I always tell my scholars, you've got the easy button when you get this scholarship. And not only do we, cover tuition fees, books and supplies, and room and board, if there's any costs associated with the program that you're in, like a nursing student, for example, their scrubs, their stethoscope, everything, we cover. We don't want them to have any financial burden. We want to remove that so they can, do everything that they want to do in college and live up to their full potential. But they do have to fill out the application to even have a shot. So a little bit about our application, and I know the current scholars will talk a little bit about this, but it's basically your high school resume, everything that you've accomplished in high school. Really think outside the box when they're asking about leadership, activities and things like that. That all doesn't have to happen at school. It can be at work, it can be at church, it can be in your communities. So really think about that with the application. And then there's also 2 essays, and that's the part that probably takes the most time. And that's when we really get to know you, the selection panel really gets to know you. So be as candid and open as you're comfortable with. It's really important in our selection process. And that's why we recommend that you start the application early and probably spend close to a month on that, because you're going to want people to read your essays. You're going to go through your application several times and make sure that you have everything on there that you've done. And like I said, the hardest part is to finish. 50% of the students that start the application don't finish it. So you got to follow through. Get that FAFSA done. We already kind of talked about that, but that's open right now. You do have to reach out to some recommenders and let them know that you're going to request that they fill out a recommendation for you. Do that ahead of time so they don't just get this blind email. You want to make sure that they're aware that it's coming. And like I said, have somebody proofread those essays a couple times for you. All of our winners have a unique story, but the one thing that they have in common is that they have proven time and time again that they have the grit, determination, and worth ethic to accomplish great things. So we awarded 20 scholarships that first year in 2018, and then 28 in 2019, and then we've awarded 30 the last 2 years. So who knows if we'll award 30 or 25 this year. We'll see how the applicant pool turns out. But we just really want to encourage you to get on there, start that application. You have a great opportunity here to ask for tips and advice from our scholars, and they'll be willing to answer any questions that you may have. Next slide, Bobby. So our application opened October 11th, and it's open through December 10th. So it's a great time to get started right now. You don't want to wait till that last minute, because you will find yourself probably in a little bit of trouble trying to get those recommendations in and turn in some good essays and things like that. So you have plenty of time right now. You may not have all the documents that you need, but you can still get started. You will need your ACT scores, and I know some people will be waiting for those to come in. And then your student aid report from the FAFSA, you'll need that as well. But there's no reason why you can't get started right away and then upload those documents once those come in. Be sure to follow us on social media, because we do have a series this week where the scholars are giving tips as far as the application goes and the interview process. So you can learn more about the program that way. And if you have any questions, you can email us at info@redfoundation.org. There's a picture of our 101 scholars right there at the summit. It was a pretty awesome event. So it's quite a group to be a part of. Next slide. I think it's yeah. So we have on our panel, Miss Taylor Brock. She's a 2018 Red Scholar. David Navarez is a 2019 Red Scholar. And Amanda Sanevong is a 2020 Red Scholar. And then we also have one of our program managers, Alma, is on the call as well. So I think we'll be ready to answer some questions after the scholars are going to do a brief introduction of themselves, I believe. So.
All right, yeah, so let's get this going and let you hear from students who are living and breathing this experience as we speak. So I'm going to ask each of our Red Scholars to introduce themselves and tell us what their hometown and high school is, what they're majoring. And then I'm going to also ask them, I'm going to put them on the spot and ask them what is their favorite thing about being a Red Scholar. So Taylor, I see you first on our screen here. So Taylor, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So hello, everybody. My name is Taylor Brock. I am from El Dorado. I graduated from El Dorado High School. My major is biomedical sciences and my minor is in chemistry. And then what else was it? My favorite thing about Yeah, so my favorite thing about Red is probably just how much of a family we are and how much support we have. From being from the first class, like the support has never died down, like it's only gotten stronger, especially with me graduating in December. Everyone's just always there for me whenever I need them, even if I just need to send them a text about how stressed I am, they're always there for me at any point of the day.
Great. Thanks, Taylor. David, you're up next.
Hey everyone, I'm David Navarez Sines. I'm from Kansas City, Kansas. I graduated from Sumner Academy of Arts and Science. Right now I'm studying aerospace engineering in my junior year here. And same as Taylor, I think my favorite thing about the Rudd Foundation would be the family, the connection. It's just great that all of us are just part of this story. All of us, and once we graduate, we still have that network. Like myself, I'm doing engineering, others are doing the chemistry and a lot of different types of majors. And it's just great to be part of this family.
All right. Thanks, David. And last but not least, Amanda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Sanevong. I graduated from Campus High School. My major is integrated marketing and communication, and then I also have minors in business marketing, women's studies, and philosophy. I would say my favorite part about being a Rudd Scholar is kind of pretty much what David and Taylor said, like the family aspect. It's an incredible community to be a part of, and I came in at a really weird time because my senior year got cut short because of COVID, and then coming in that first year was really, really hard for me. But like having the support of 2 classes above me, and then also having the support of Alma, Danielle, and Corey, it made the transition from high school to college a lot easier. And they made sure that, you know, we had a lot of different support and different resources available to us to make that transition really smooth. So.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. So, you know, I know that they are all bragging about some of the extra support they get through the family and through the network. And that's really notable. You know, you didn't hear one of them talk about the financial value of this, and that's very obvious and very clear what reward that is. But I believe each and every one of them, when they talk about this extra value that the Rudd Scholarship provides. And, you know, I've been working in college admissions for approaching 20 years now, and I can tell you what they offer, the Rudd Foundation and the Rudd Scholarship offers for students to kind of provide these wraparound services is really second to none. If I could ever have my children be a part of a scholarship and an opportunity, I truly would want them to have these wraparound services that the Rudd Foundation offers. So really shout out to them, because there's not really a lot of organizations out there that offer something like this. So that being said, we've had a couple of questions trickle in, and I also want to make sure we give a little airtime to our friend Alma, who's joining us as well. Alma, as you heard Corey mention earlier, is on the Rudd Foundation staff. And Alma, I might put you on the spot and maybe just ask you, what are some things that you see trip students up during the application process? What are some things that applicants either fail to do or don't do well enough that might hold them back from being strongly considered for the Rudd Scholarship?
Sure. Thanks, Bobby. So I would probably say when the students are filling out their application, typically they wait because they either haven't gotten their ACT score back yet, or they're in the middle of filling out their financial aid and they don't know if they're Pell Grant eligible yet or not. So they're like, oh, I'll just wait until I know that information. And sometimes, like Corey mentioned during the presentation, it might be a little bit too late for you to really work on those 2 essays and get those 2 recommendation letters that we do require. So I would probably say that's one of the mistakes that they make, is waiting, till mid-November, late November, Thanksgiving time to get that application completed. So that's why we just encourage you, start the application now, start working on the different sections of the application, and just really, start that process. So whenever you do get that information, all you have to do is plug it in, hit that submit button, and then we get to really learn about you, and you won't miss out on the opportunity. So I'd probably say that. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. A couple of questions have come through the chat, but we've answered them through the chat. But just to benefit everyone, one of the questions was about the number of applications that you all receive. And Alma answered that, and she mentioned that about 1,300 students may start the application from year to year. It changes, of course, but only about 50% finish. So following through, both starting it and completing it are obviously very important. So take note of that. Another student asked about what the requirements are for the scholarship beyond just living on campus for 4 years, just in order to maintain it. Is there anything, Corey or Alma, you want to elaborate on beyond living on campus in terms of retaining the scholarship over 4 years?
No, really just your cumulative GPA, like I said, needs to be above a 3.0. And then just staying on track to graduate in 4 years. And sometimes that sounds a little stressful, especially if you don't want to know what you want to major in. But we're here to help you work through that. And like I said, we provide support through the summer as well to make sure that you can do that. And that's so you can, start your earning potential earlier. And a lot of our scholars go on to graduate school as well. So yeah, that pretty much covers. Not huge requirements to maintain your full ride, really.
Taylor, I'm going to float a question out to you because as we saw in one of the pictures earlier, you're one of the overachievers graduating early here at semester. So tell us what's in store for you next as you look forward to graduation.
Yeah, so this last year, well, really since May, I've been studying to take my dental admissions test since I'm applying to dental school. So I spent really all summer studying for that. And then I took my test, and then I was also applying to dental school, which is a whole shebang. It's a whole thing. And that took my whole summer and into August a little bit. And so recently I just finished doing interviews with any places that wanted to interview me. So now I'm just anxiously waiting until December 1st, which is when I will find out if I made it into dental school. So I won't actually go to dental school if I get accepted until next August or sometime that summer. So until then, I'm hoping to work in a dental office doing either lab stuff or assisting, something like that. So yeah, those are my tentative plans, but we'll see how everything goes.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. All right. A question that has come up in the chat is what happens, Christina's asking, what happens if the time for us to take the ACT is December 11th? Would it be possible to turn in our score late? If that's the last thing that they need, how, Corey and Alma, would you respond to that?
Did you take it your junior year on the test day? That would be my biggest question, because I think most schools have a test day their junior year. You could use that score and then possibly email us the score if it's better after that. But you would have something to turn in from that test day your junior year. You should have.
Great. So
wrong.
So I think Corey's referring to here in the state of Kansas, just about all public high schools in the state of Kansas offered free ACT testing back in February. So if you were able to take that and had a score submitted, then you you earned a score from that. You just want to make sure that you include that score in your application process. And then it sounds like if you took an extra ACT subsequent to that and maybe couldn't get it included in your application process for the Rudd Foundation, just email later on with that updated score and they'll try to consider that as
yeah. And our scholarship, like I said, is much more beyond the academic side of it too. I mean, the ACT is just a very small part of it. So I still encourage you to fill it out and not put too much weight into what your ACT score is, because we do look for a lot of different things besides that.
Cool. And someone asked about the email address that they could send that updated score to, and it's in the chat, but in case you don't see it, I believe it's info@ruddfoundation.org. Again, that's info@ruddfoundation.org to send any questions, but also then those updated scores. All right. Before I get to more questions in the chat, Amanda, my friend, I know you've had some really cool internship experiences. So I was wondering if you might be willing to talk about one or two of them, just to give students some sense of those experiences, because I think those are really valuable outside the college classroom. So it's great and important to have the classroom experience, but I think just as important is what are you doing to apply it outside the classroom. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that can benefit any student no matter where they're going to college.
I just completed a marketing internship with Amazon. I was basically working on like outreach and social media, promoting like prime student benefits and other like new partnerships that Amazon has with different companies. And then currently I'm also the Rudd Foundation marketing intern. So I help Alma with running all of our social media accounts. I get to go to like a lot of really cool events on campus, get to highlight all of our different scholars, like get to highlight people's internships and things like that. I would say like the biggest thing for me, like having internships and stuff, it's helped me apply since like my major is marketing and like I'm getting to do it like hands-on, which is really helpful. And I love like that the Rudd Foundation has given me the opportunity to do a marketing internship.
And get 100% paid.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Amanda, for sharing a little bit about that. I know you've had some really cool experiences. Just out of curiosity, if you could add to that, how did, because I know that's not the only one you've had others. How have you hustled and worked so hard to get those internships? Talk just quickly about how you've researched those and applied and all that. Because again, I think that's great perspective for any student, no matter what college you end up at.
The biggest thing for sure is networking. And I know Corey, Alma, and Danielle will continuously tell you that. The older scholars will tell you that. Yeah, networking is a really powerful thing. It's all about connections. I would say like make meaningful and impactful connections, really get to know different people. If you want to learn more about like your major, find people who work in that industry and reach out to them. It doesn't hurt to reach out, to ask questions, and to just, you know, learn more about different opportunities. And sometimes there's opportunities that you may not know about until you ask. So ask questions and reach out.
Great. Thanks, Amanda. One question that was answered in the chat, but just want to make sure everyone hears it as well. Question was, would SAT work in place of ACT? And Alma confirmed in the chat that yes, they're happy to accept SAT scores as well. Before I get on to another question, I'm going to ask David, put you on the spot again. David, what surprised you about the Rudd Scholarship? So other than probably being surprised that you got the scholarship and that whole moment, but tell us, as you've been involved now as a Rudd Scholar for a couple of years, what has surprised you about the opportunities the scholarship has provided you?
I think a big thing that surprised me about the Rudd Scholarship is that being able to get a full ride scholarship, being able to graduate debt-free is a huge blessing. I have a lot of friends who all throughout their years in college, they are still either working overtime, working a lot of hours during college, or still trying to find the scholarship. And I think it's very important to take advantage of those opportunities in high school early on, so that once you're in college, you're able to experience everything that college can offer. Like Amanda said, build relationships with your professors, with different companies. So really in your senior year now, just apply. There's a lot of great opportunities, including the Rudd Foundation, and people really just want to see you succeed. They want to see you go to college, graduate college, and just take your shot. Take your shot anywhere you can, any scholarship that's available. Just take your opportunity there.
Shoot or shoot, right, David? All right. Kimberly asks in the chat, if something unexpected happened to a Rudd Scholar, making them unable to continue going to college for the time being, would they lose the full ride, or would there be a pause or freeze on their scholarship, and would it be available if and when they returned?
I think that would just really depend on the individual situation. We really try to make sure that we support our scholars. So it would really kind of depend on what that situation is. So that one's kind of hard to answer, I guess. That's not a great answer, but it would really depend on what the situation is.
Great. Another question from Braden: would the Rudd Scholarship apply to Wichita WSU Tech or only Wichita State University?
It is only Wichita State University.
All right. I'm interested in hearing more from our Rudd Scholars. I'm curious what you've been able to do, maybe kind of something off the beaten path, maybe something you've been able to invest your time in because you haven't had to worry necessarily about the financial aspects of college. And so Amanda's case, she obviously got some internships. I know you all have invested your time in other ways. Maybe I would just love to hear one example of something you've been able to give a little more time to because you didn't have to necessarily worry as much about working and paying for college. So maybe that's time with family, maybe that's time with a student organization, maybe that's time with some other passion or activity that really means a lot to you. So can you give me any examples of that? Taylor, I'll start with you. I see you nodding.
Yeah, so I will say I have had a lot more time to volunteer. I still do work because I like the experiences that I get with working. But I've been able to volunteer so much over these last like 3.5 years. I've built so many great bonds and networking, like with what Amanda was talking about with different organizations. And it's just really like inspired me to or things that I like want to do in the future. Like I used to volunteer a lot with Red Cross when I was in high school, and I like hosted a blood drive and did all that good stuff. And then Wichita State actually has a Red Cross club, which I do membership of. And it's made me love the Red Cross just like 10,000 times more. And I do blood drives with that. And then it's made me want to like continue to, even when I do graduate from Wichita State, that I want to continue to be interactive with the Red Cross. So yeah, I've been able to put a lot of time towards that.
Cool. Thanks, Taylor. And I'm sure all those volunteer hours, by the way, probably will help you in theory with your dental school application, I'm guessing. So really demonstrates your commitment to service and volunteering. So David, I know you recently achieved a special licensure. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your passion?
Yes, so this past summer, I got the huge blessing to work towards my private pilot certificate. So that was something fun that some of the scholars and I were able to do, just fly over Wichita's downtown. So that's been very awesome. And then another thing I would add is that I've been able to work at a research laboratory. And in the lab, I'm conducting my first research project in which we basically just 3D print ceramics. And these things that we print, their goal is to be able to go around turbofan engines on airplanes so that they can absorb high temperatures and basically absorb sound. So that's been a very big project that I've been working on, and hopefully by the start of next year, we are able to publish our research paper. It's been a blessing just to not worry about paying for college.
Very good. And Amanda, anything you would add that you've been able, I know you've been really busy doing a lot of different things. Is there anything additional you would add that you haven't already shared?
Yeah, for me, like not having the financial burden of having to pay for college, I would say it's given me a lot of time to get really connected with organizations that I'm very passionate about. So like as of right now, I guess a couple of the organizations I'm in the Weidner Global Leaders Program, which is like a new business program that was started by Wichita State alum. And it's basically a program where we work on like learning about connections between fine arts, music, and business, and how to apply that to like a real life setting. And then also involved in Asian Student Conference, the Vietnamese Student Association, and the Thai, Lao, and Cambodian Association. So getting to learn about different cultures and getting to meet a lot of different people that way. And then also like I've gotten to work a lot as well. A lot of different internships. So I've had like a real estate internship, I've had like corporate internships, nonprofit marketing internships. So like not having that financial burden really has allowed me to work on, I think, like building a lot of soft skills and also like professional development skills as well.
Cool. Very good. Thanks, Amanda. All right. I'm curious, maybe Corey and Alma, you can speak to it, but the rest of you've been attending these events. So I'm curious if you have anything you'd want to add. We've talked about networking and that power that comes with the program and the scholarship. Speakers, though, I know you bring forward some really incredible speakers to run scholar meetings. Can you give our audience some sense of what that's been like to do some workshops and presentations and maybe give them some
Sure. So at our summit, we break out into sessions based on your academic level. There's certain topics that we cover. So like for our last summit, our seniors talked about financial planning and budgeting and 401k and things that they're going to need once they go out into the workforce to understand. I know some of the adults, if you think about when you started your first job and they set those 401k papers in front of you, you're like, what is this? So we try to help them be ready for those experiences. Our juniors at the Fall Summit, they met with somebody that's been in talent acquisition for 20 plus years and went over, interviewing skills and how to search for internships and different things like that. Our freshman year, we start them off, they talk about networking a lot. We start them off developing their own LinkedIn profile and starting to build a professional brand online and challenge them to get 100 connections a year on LinkedIn. And when they're freshmen, they kind of looked at us like, what? Especially the first class, because they didn't have scholars in front of them to connect with. So they're like, oh my gosh, this is a big challenge. But now I think as they've gone through the program, they see the benefit of that networking. It's helped them find, like Amanda talked about, different internships and people to support you and help you along the way and connections within the community and things like that. We did a Clifton Strengths program for our sophomores at the summit this year so they can learn how to use those strengths to help them succeed. We brought in our keynote speaker from Denver, Colorado, and she hit on some topics that our scholars frequently deal with and really kind of help them understand what they really wanted to do with themselves and make that next step. I had so many people after her presentation come and say, I really know, I've made my decision. This is what I really want to do. And so, just some professional speakers that help them think through that along the way. And then, throughout different summits, there's different topics like that, but those are some of the topics that we go over to kind of prepare them. I think the budgeting thing was really good for them, as well as the financial planning and stuff like that. We do resumes. Alma has a whole program she could talk about that she's built with the career centers on campus. Great relationship with Wichita State's career center. So I can let her talk about that for a little bit because I think that's really beneficial as well.
Yeah, sure. So we do, like Corey said, we do partner with many entities across the universities, which, is a great resource for our scholars because they can come to us and we can send them directly to whomever they need to speak with. But with the career centers, we partner with them to make sure that our students are utilizing their resources directly when it comes to professional development, internship research, job search, mock interviews, resumes. Wichita State is a great opportunity when it comes to, finding on-campus, jobs, and then also jobs, within the community with, NIAR, the Innovation Campus side of things. Our scholars are the first to know when an opportunity does come, it is available. So we send it directly to our scholars and we say, hey, David, you're an engineering student. This opportunity just opened up with Textron, for example. Are you interested? David says, yes, we get that resume. The Career Center will send it directly to whoever the contact is at Textron. And David, has an interview the next week with Textron. So that's just a quick example of how connected we are with the Career Centers at each of our campuses. And it's a great opportunity, to connect them not only with opportunities to get hands-on experience, but also, after graduation, so like dental school, medical school, law school, all of those things. Our foundation has great connections. The universities have great connections, and our partnership with them is really, really, really great with them. With that as well. So
great, thank you. One question that has really been answered in the chat, but I just give an opportunity if Corey or Alma want to expand further. But there was a question about can the scholarship be utilized to participate in a study abroad experience?
Yeah, we are working with the study abroad office on campus at Wichita State and have a really good relationship with them. They understand our program, and we are trying to cover all the costs that we can for study abroad. We don't want this program to hold our students back from anything. We want them to gain as many experiences as possible through their 4 years. And if it fits in with their plan and their degree plan, yeah, we cover a lot of the expenses for study abroad. So pretty excited. We haven't had anybody go yet because of a lot of it was because of COVID. We had a couple people lined up, but we do have somebody that is currently in the Midwest Exchange Program. And Bobby can probably talk a little bit more about that at Wichita State. That's a great program as well. And he's having a really good experience. He's at in Arizona right now going to school for the semester. So.
Cool. Maybe I will expand on that just because I think it's an awesome program. So it's called the National Student Exchange. It's a nationwide, actually, it's in some ways it's a worldwide program, but for the most part, there's about 200 universities in the United States and some US territories and also Canada, where our students, Wichita State students, can go study for a semester or year while earning credit towards graduation at Wichita State. The best thing about the program is that students continue to pay their regular tuition rate. So if they are a resident of Kansas, they can actually, and all of our students around scholars would be residents of Kansas, so they would continue to pay that same tuition rate. And the Rudd Foundation is willing to continue their scholarship while they're off on exchange. And so it's a really cool experience, particularly for students who maybe they lived in Kansas all their life and they just want to experience something else for a semester or a year. Maybe they want to pursue some future possible destinations for living. Maybe they just want to go live in the Northeast for a semester or a year. So it's a really great experience. I actually used to coordinate the program many years ago here on our campus, so very familiar with it. And we've seen students really enjoy that experience when they've pursued it. So all right, I'm leaving some space here for additional questions. We're rounding into an hour, but we still have some time here. I wanted to see if there's a question that I'm not asking of our Rudd scholars, that as they think about maybe being a high school senior, and if you all were successful, so you got the scholarship, but is there any advice you can give to our audience as they're thinking about this? We've talked about just applying, and that's obviously really important, but is there any other advice you would give to our students about applying for the scholarship? Anything that I haven't asked about or that we've addressed so far?
I would say when you're doing your essays and your autobiography, which I think that they still do, I had to do that again like 50,000 times for dental school. And sometimes it's really hard to like pour your heart on a piece of paper, but I would just say be as authentic as possible. Just like, this is your story. Don't make it something that they want to hear. Make it like your story, and just make it as personable as you can, and that'll make you stand out the most, I would say, because I've been through it a million times. Trust me. So yes, follow your heart and your gut.
Be authentic, follow your heart and gut. That's great advice. Thanks, Taylor. Amanda, I saw you unmute. Did you want to add something?
Yes, I was going to say, like, be proud of your successes, be proud of your accomplishments. Humility is like one of the traits that we always talk about, and I think all of our scholars definitely demonstrate humility very well. But like in your essays, and even like if you make it to the interview round, brag on yourself a little bit. It's okay to be proud of yourself, of who you are, and all of the incredible things that you've accomplished.
Great, thanks. David, anything you would want to add to that?
Yes, I know when I was in high school, it was just difficult to have that confidence because I wasn't really a good writer. Like now I'm in engineering, aerospace, and I know in high school I kind of struggle with writing. So really take advantage of the resources that you have at your high school, either your counselors or maybe your English professors or teachers. Really tell them what you're feeling about the scholarship, what it would mean to you. And I know that they helped me a lot. Just write down all my feelings, all my thoughts on a piece of paper. And that really helped me make my essay stand out. So just use your resources at your school.
Great. I think this might have been covered during the presentation, but maybe just would be good to go back through it. Corey and Alma, can you remind us kind of the timeline of what deadlines are coming up, and then also, you know, what the next steps are once you've got your application deadline, and how you'll go from there?
Sure, yeah, so our application is currently open. It closes on December 10th at noon. So that's why we were encouraging you to start your application today, get it submitted, get enough time to get that done. Application will close December 10th. We will review applications in January, and then we will reach out to our semifinalists in early February, and then we select 50 semifinalists to come in for an interview in person at our Wichita location here. And then we schedule all that out to fit your schedule as well. And then from there, we will announce our winners, and then surprise you, maybe, maybe not. So Corey, I don't know if I missed anything on the timeline.
No, I mean, you would be notified usually before spring break if you're a winner. But yeah, we do interview 50 finalists. So, I mean, that's a good chunk. And if you're there, I mean, half of those people that show up for the interview are getting the scholarship. So yeah, you just need to get the application going and apply.
Cool. And this was answered in the chat, but just again, for the benefit maybe of those who don't have access or can see the chat, there was questions about living on campus and you know, how are roommates assigned, how is the room plan picked, and ultimately, Alma, jump in if I'm wrong, but Alma indicated that basically students could really kind of pick the experience that makes the most sense for them, but they do have to have a roommate their freshman year, and that they can live with any student. It doesn't necessarily have to be another Rudd Scholar. Is that all accurate?
That's correct. We have found over time, because the group gets so close, and this is something that maybe the scholars can hit on, because I know I grew up in Kansas and went to school in Kansas, and I was like, oh, living on campus all 4 years, I don't know how that's going to go or anything like that. But I think that would be a good thing for the scholars to talk about, and because they probably have the same reaction initially. Taylor, you've been through it now for you're on your 4th year. What has been your experience about living on campus? And at Wichita State, come on guys, it's not too tough if you haven't seen their dorms. Their dorms are amazing. But yeah, Taylor, why don't you talk about living on campus?
Yeah, so when my very first year, I didn't find out about the scholarship until April. So housing opens like pretty early. And by the time I actually was selecting my housing, I was gonna live here at the flats and with like 7 other roommates. And I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. So I ended up living in Shocker Hall, and I actually was originally dental hygiene for a semester. And so I lived on an LLC, which is a living learning community. And it was with a bunch of other health professions majors. So I lived with another dental hygiene major and then 2 nursing majors. So living in an LLC is pretty cool, because then you're with people who are kind of like you too, and then you can like study together, and then you have like friends instantly. And I didn't know any of them, and I still talk to all 3 of them to this day. So that's really cool. They were really super great. And then my sophomore, junior, and now my senior year, I'm here at the flats. I live with 3 of my friends my sophomore year that I had just like met when I was a freshman. And then last year I actually lived by myself in my own room when they let us live in our own rooms, which was super awesome because I just had like the whole place to myself. And then this year I just am with 2 other people who I just didn't know, but I'm only here for a semester, and you always get your own room if you have that opportunity. So that's really great. You still have your privacy. And I still love meeting new people, but yeah, there's a bunch of scholars who you can room with too, or yeah, if you just want to room with random people, that's great too. So you really have a lot of options. I don't know if you can still live in the suites or if they just did that for freshmen because there's so many freshmen, but yeah, it's really nice living here. You have like the full kitchen, like just everything. It's really nice. I love living here and I'm gonna miss it.
Yes, and freshmen can live in the suites at Wichita State. That's an option for sure. So, yeah. All right, couple other questions. I think we may have actually answered them. I did want to mention, you touched on this, Corey, but I really just wanted to commend the Rudd Foundation and the Rudd team for providing this opportunity in the sense that you talked about how you don't want the scholarship in any way to limit students' experiences. So you're willing to work with and excited to work with Study Abroad. I also know that some of the students are student athletes, and not necessarily at Wichita State, but other places, and maybe we have one at Wichita State. But we also have students who are on dance team and other pretty time-intensive activities. So anything you would add to that, you work around all those other scholarship opportunities and supplement those. Anything you would want to add to that? Because I know the students are so incredibly well-rounded, whether they're at Wichita State or one of the other partner campuses.
Yeah, I mean, our scholarship isn't limited by majors or interests or anything. And like Bobby said, we really want you to do more than what you ever thought you could do on campus, basically. I mean, you're given this gift where you don't have to worry about the cost, and it kind of lifts some of the time that you would spend working and allows, like you said, we have student athletes, we have cheer, we have dance, we have band, they're so involved, and we don't want the scholarship to take away from any of those experiences because we think they're very, very important. And just how our scholars are so well-rounded, I think creates a really unique environment that they learn from each other through those different experiences. I mean, I sit there and I think of our summit when David talked about taking some scholars up flying after our summit. It was just crazy to think what those students were thinking. Here they are at this brand new baseball stadium with 101 scholars, and we just had a great summit. And then here's this other, this Rudd scholar that's a junior. He's like, hey, does anybody want to go flying after the summit? And they go up and fly over Wichita. I'm like, wow, what an experience. And I can't imagine having that when I was in school or even having that for my kids. And I just think it's pretty awesome. So yeah, we want them to experience everything that they can.
And I want to brag for a second about Corey and Alma and Danielle, who's also on their staff and not able to join us tonight. I can tell you that they will work really hard. And I guess maybe more so I'm speaking to the parents who might be watching, that I think all of us, when our children attend college, we want to make sure they're looked out for and that they're getting connected and that their needs are met. And I can tell you that these three ladies work really hard, even if they're not in the same city or community, because they're all based in the Wichita area. And so obviously they're not based where the other colleges are, but we're fortunate they're really literally down the street from us here at Wichita State. But I can tell you that they're going to work incredibly hard to make sure that the students' needs are met, that they are looking out for those students, that they're advocating for students on the college campuses. I've gotten calls from Corey when she was concerned about something, and I have actually absolutely gone to bat for the Rudd Scholars because it's such a wonderful partnership for us. And I know that one of our Wichita State scholars was recently in the hospital very unexpectedly. And I know Corey was out to visit that student as quickly as he would allow a visitor or the circumstances allowed. So, again, I think about this in the lens of my own children. My children are very young right now, but if or when they go to college away from here, hopefully it's Wichita State, but if it's somewhere else, that's okay too. I would want to have someone like Corey or Alma or Danielle interacting with my children. And I can just tell you that's such a valuable piece of this too, that these three are there to look out for our children and the Rudd Scholars too. All right. And yes, so you can see the students are chiming in that this is not lip service, that this is their experience too, in terms of working with Corey and Alma. So since they're on here today. All right, so we're right at an hour. So if is there anything I missed, any final questions that we didn't get to cover, either from our audience, feel free to throw those through the chat, or from any of our panelists and staff members, anything that I've missed addressing.
I would just say, make sure that you follow us on social media. I put it in the chat. It's just not only a great way to, see what the Rudd Foundation is about, but you get to see what our scholars are doing on all three campuses. Right now, we're really pushing, advice from current scholars on what to look for in your essays, how to apply, how to, tips and tricks of what they utilized, resources they had in high school. So yeah, just give us a follow. Parents can follow us at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have LinkedIn as well. So we just want everybody to be in the know, and yeah, start your application, tonight, tomorrow morning, use your resources at your high school. I know sometimes you have a free period, so that's always a great time to start that application. So yeah, just get connected and stay in the know. We really, really look forward to seeing your applications.
Great. Thank you, Alma. Anyone else? Last call. Everyone's good? We covered it? All right. Well, we hopefully have left you enough resources that you know where to reach out if you do have additional questions. I will tell you their social media is super active. I can't keep up with it. Amanda really kills it on social media as their intern, handling all of that. And so I would just encourage you, Taylor, you did that before, right, too? So I would encourage you to stay on top of their social media, because if there's announcements and additional information to share, they will make sure it's posted there. So I just also want to give a quick shout out to Erin, my colleague here in the admissions office, for putting this event together and working with students' questions behind the scenes before the event today, and certainly during the event. And then also thank you to Dana, our admissions rep, who's joining us from Northeast Kansas. And I know that many of you all in the audience are actually, your admissions rep is Dana, so feel free to reach out to her if you have questions. And then last but not least, thank you to Corey and Alma for joining us tonight. And then special thank you to the Rudd Scholars for giving us some of their time tonight I'm sure they could have been studying or doing something else, maybe fun, super fun outside of this, but I really appreciate them joining us to give us that student perspective too. So I think with that, just a reminder that we will be happy to email this recording out to you later on this week. We'll put it up on YouTube. So we'll drop it through email, but also on social media too. So just make sure you follow all of the social media handles we've shared. So with that, we will close down for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to apply. That deadline is a little more than a month away, but don't wait for December 11th. Do it much sooner than that. And I know they look forward to reviewing your application and considering you. So with that, we'll sign off. Thanks so much for everyone for joining us, and have a great rest of the fall semester. And we look forward to seeing you on the other side.
Thank you,
Bye,
Bobby.
everyone.